I mean, no offense. You're going to fail as a copywriter. Your first couple things you write aren't going to be your best. And so the reason that newbie copy is not good is because they
I wanted to ask you a very particular question that has been on my mind relatively recently, which is why is so much newbie copywriting so f***ing bad?
I think that is how it has always been.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, you're asking, like, why is someone not good at something not doing a good job? Copy is a craft. Just like, what was it? Like, you said dribbling a basketball.
Mm-hmm.
It's like learning to play guitar. Like, you don't read a book your way to being a great guitarist. You practice your way to a great guitarist. And so when it comes to copy, we all do it. You pick the thing that's too scary to do. Pick anything that you want to do that feels larger than life, that you're a little bit timid to approach. Anything that involves rejection. So if you're a freelancer, you don't have the benefit. And I always tell, I'm a big fan of going in-house, getting a job, getting a mentor, and getting the reps. And you don't have to face that rejection at the same scale as a freelancer because it's actually that rejection. Like, you're already going to fail. I mean, no offense. You're going to fail as a copywriter. Your first couple things you write aren't going to be your best. And so the reason that newbie copy is not good is because they put hurdles in their own way, whether they know it or not. Like, being a freelancer is a hurdle because now you also have to learn how to prospect, and you have to also will yourself and have the motivation or the discipline, if you don't have motivation, to prospect. And I've been like, I do the same thing. I know this feeling well because to this point, I have definitely leaned on my black book. I've leaned on my current Rolodex. It has been a cushy, safe fall for me anytime I need work to just sort of call up someone I haven't talked to in just too long. It's been like 6 months. They probably need copy now. Let me just circle back. And I have sort of made it a point in my head to begin, like, I need to branch out of here. I met a guy at Top One running a options trading YouTube program where he's a coach, and he wants to get in this subscription model. He wants to get in this newsletter slash, like, he's got a Discord server that people pay for access to. And so through Top One, we connected. Stock Trading Pro is the name of the company. And it's not an Agora. It doesn't have the infrastructure. It doesn't have everything built out already in the same way. He's learning how the model works. And I can bring that knowledge to him. And I notice, like, this is something I did at Wealth Press. If I could tell a story, like, I don't know if I'm supposed to monologue on a podcast or not, but I could tell.
No, this is a conversation. Feel free to go. Like, this is it for the rest of the evening. So,
all right, podcast. So Wealth Press, the way this story goes was Wealth Press had about a $2 million year. Braddock joined.
mm-hmm.
And he took them, I think they were doing around 1. He took them to 2, and then I came on. And then, like, they were having a pretty good year that year with Braddock and some of his promos. And they had this program called the V-Bounce Strategy. And the V-Bounce Strategy was about this, there's a support line, 200-day moving average. And the price would sort of fall to the support line. And the idea is it probably is going to bounce off the support line, right? And it's going to cause this little V-shaped curvature to the price. And so they were selling this trading program, like a little course, for $7. And that might not be 100%. It might be $19. I can't remember exactly, but it was like $7, right? So I came in, I saw, like, okay, what are the assets that we have to work with? Like, what are some things that we could build off of without having to do a lot of extra work? I find the V-Bounce thing, they gave me like 3 or 4 programs. They're like, hey, we could turn this into maybe a service or something. And I was like, all right, can we do more trades with this V-Bounce strategy? Just make that a service. Like, we're going to teach you how to find these V-Bounce trades. And they're like, yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. So let's take this $7 course, turn it into a weekly service where we find you a trade a week using this strategy. I'm going to create a promo. Remember, this is a $2 million company, $7 product. And I take this V-Bounce idea and I say, okay, how about this? We have to come up with a big idea. I need a metaphor. I consider a big idea just a metaphor, basically.
So let's back up a little bit because I feel like we've jumped way ahead into very advanced stuff. So this is like level 5 of research. which, what are the first four? I don't even know. For context, we are talking about a financial publishing company that publishes information, lessons, courses about stocks, crypto, etc. And the way that that is typically marketed is with what are called long form direct response sales letters. And the way that these work is that they really spell out and really prove like how a particular system works and why you should be interested in a particular system enough to buy it. And what Kyle does and what I do when I have the time is we'll write these sales letters. They are often 6,000 to 10,000 words long. And yes, people do read them. And what they do is they articulate an emotionally compelling argument, often called the big idea, that really grabs attention and makes it so that you feel like you have to purchase this thing if you want to make money with this particular strategy. And so I'm going to kick it back to you so that you can finish telling the story.
Yeah, so like, all right, take this story then, and this is how you can make your clients money if they're in the financial publishing space or maybe any other space. So what I did, I take the $7 course, I go through it, and I figure out, okay, the V bounce thing, 7-day moving average, price movement, all that shit. And I'm like, all right, here, we need a metaphor for people that'll be very gripping, compelling, and explains this. So I come up with this idea, on the clock stocks. And when a stock has a certain trigger that puts it on their radar to monitor, like when they have to monitor it for the V bounce, once the stock hits that trigger, I forget the triggers so long ago, it's on the clock. And what we're doing is the delta, which would be the distance between the price and the moving average. So this line and the price. I said that was a clock, a timer. And we're counting down. And when it hits 0, you're going to invest. And it's going to do that bounce. So the stocks are on the clock. And when they hit 0, you invest. And then they bounce back. Took that $7, and again, it might have been $19, $20. It wasn't very much. Took that $7 course, turned it into a weekly service. We sold that for $2,500, I think. $2,500 for a membership. $800,000. So take a $2 million company, and in one sales letter, $800,000.
Nearly a 50% increase.
Yeah. And
what I did just there, right there, was called dimensionalization, by the way.
A reframe.
Yeah.
We were talking about prospecting and an idea of bringing this knowledge of like what we did in the big giant machine that was Agora and bringing that to smaller pubs. Wealth Press had an $11 million year that year. 800 of that came from that one sales letter and that one go. And then the next year we did 50. Like they tasted that success of what could happen with the big promo. And the next thing you know, we're just like every week trying to do another. It was like crazy.